Prayers and peace be upon him and upon his descendants, upon his companions, the righteous all, and upon you all believers be peace and what follows of this salute. First of all, I know some of us, we've been out here for a little while. On Sunday, Sunday's a busy day for us, but I think it's a very productive day. I think people are learning from 10, what is it, from 10 to 12? 10 to 12, we have Arabic class, and then we have Islamic studies. So it's an opportunity for us to get together and learn something, about our religion. I was speaking to one of the believers this morning about Ta'aleem and the history of Ta'aleem. Actually, it's an old practice that started in the Nation of Islam, but we utilize it totally differently. We used to go out in the community and invite people to come in. We call it fishing. We'll go out and we'll bring people in. The minister didn't want to see your face. He just wanted to see new people. And the other reason, so the first reason was to get new people. The other reason was that Sunday was considered to be the day that most Americans, it still is, most Americans practice religion, one day a week. And so we just wanted to take advantage of that. Now, we know for us as Muslims now that Jummah is the biggest day. Imam Muhammad told us years ago when he first started his leadership that the time was going to come when Ta'aleem would no longer be the biggest meeting. He said Jummah would be. And he went on, he had a process to try to bring us to that point. All of those chairs from the beautiful carpet was taken out. We used to have chairs on all of these Masjid on Sunday. And it's still good to put chairs up on when you have guests. And we have classes. I like the way Imam Fahim was doing it in Oakland. He had a class setting, blackboard, chalkboard, class setting, like we do here, seats. And really, that's one of the things that I really wanted to borrow from him because it worked very well for him. And then it helped people who had never been in a mosque before. So you can bring them in, and because some of us, we can't sit on the floor. I watch you. So we're going to bring somebody else in here, and we can't do it. I'm talking about young people. I'm not talking about those of us who want seats. And by the way, we thank Allah for the young people that we have. I was leading prayer not too long ago, and I looked back and I saw everybody was sitting down in a chair. I said, God Almighty, I don't think that was the day I used a chair. I said, well, at least I'm gonna stand up. And so I slid over there by that window. So when I pray, I reach up and I push myself up. But anyway, we thank Allah that we've continued that tradition, but we really want to try to get back to inviting people out. Some time ago, and I think you may have been here then, Imam Rahman. We had a Sunday service, and it was called What Islam Is and What Islam Is Not. And this place was packed. But very few of you, it was all Caucasians. Black men put it out, and they responded. But it would have been nice to look out there and see more than 4 or 5 African Americans. But they came because they were interested. One of the hottest subjects now in America is Islam. So it's good, I think, that we take advantage of that, and try to introduce Islam in the proper way to people who are non-Muslims. 9/11 created that opportunity. 9/11 did. Imam Rahman was here then. We got more invitation after 9/11 than we had ever got. They wanted us to come to church. They wanted us to do this. They wanted to know about Islam. They call you on the phone. Everything. But we want to be able to create opportunities ourselves, as opposed to having someone else create the opportunity, and in a bad way at that. You know, so we're happy that Allah has blessed us. I know Sister Anika and Brother Rahman, your plane is at 4, right? So I'm not going to talk long. I want to hear from my brother. It's always good for him to come back in town. He'll be back on the 11th, too. And he's going to be delivering the Jummah. Why not? He was a resident. Y'all know, you don't think about it. He was a resident Imam here for how many years?
No, not long.
Rahman came to the hospital. When I was there, I had all kinds of tubes in me. And I really appreciated that, you know, because it's good, you know, to get that kind of support when you're going through trauma. You know, so he came to see me, and I said, somebody got to step forward. And he did. And he did an excellent job until he left. And I think he misses this place. I know Sister Anika misses it. Of course. There's not too many places like Ash-Shaheed. Imam Ash-Shaheed told me that on Friday. We were standing on top. He said, man, you know, these places, he said, man, there ain't too many Masjid. They said, they're not like Masjid Ash-Shaheed. So we thank Allah for that, but we want to show Allah that we appreciate what He has blessed us with by getting about the business of really building community life. And it's not just building buildings, putting buildings up. You know, we have to have a social life. We have to have business. We have to have all those things. And we hope, inshallah, we can pass this down to the young people. We have some good young people here, but we don't have as many as we would like to see. But somebody's going to have to pick up the banner and keep moving forward. Right before, let me mention this. Imam Rahman wanted to know what should he address. And I told him, I said, you know, in February, our community will be 90 years old. 90 years old, 90 years since W.D. Farad brought what we can call proto-Islam to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. 90 years ago. And we're planning on having a program here. Muhammad Idris called me. Y'all know Muhammad Idris. He's active again. At one time he wasn't. He came here and was so inspired by the Jummah. He's been calling me. He wants us to do a program in Charleston. But I think we need to do that program here in commemoration of the beginning of our community, and also where it came under Imam W.D. Muhammad and where it should go under us. I think it'd be a nice thing. And I think it'd be very powerful if we did something like that. So I told him that not for him to address that, because the theme in a subject is a different. Do you all know the theme and the subject is different? Do y'all know that? If I'm going to speak someplace and they say, well, the theme is this, my subject might be alluded to that theme, but I know that you don't necessarily have to address that theme word for word. I told him, do yourself. He knows this place. I think he knows Charlotte better than he knows any other place right now. You were here for how many years? 21. Got married here? Got married again in D.C., but, you know, I thought I did okay. They said, we're going to a real place to get married. All right, Imam Rahman Khan. Takbir. 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 And we got food, so y'all got to eat before you leave.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. With Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer, we seek refuge in Allah from the rejected enemy, shaitan. Assalamu alaikum. First of all, thank you for the invitation.
That's an invitation.
Yeah, I was voluntold. But certainly glad to be back here, and the wedding was definitely adequate. The rest of it was for the family and other people. Sister Anika and I are glad to be here. We just celebrated our 24th anniversary. Allahu Akbar. just less than a week ago. And so 24 years ago here on Tuckasegee, we were married from Imam Khalil, by Imam Khalil. Definitely glad to be here, and won't be speaking long today. As Imam said that there was Soul Food Sunday, and I said we got a flight, but I think we can push it back for Soul Food Sunday. So, I mean, to see everybody. That's what we did. To see everybody. That's what we did. Just a couple quick things we want to address. One is our family is doing fine. Hassan is doing well. He's at work today. And so he's works at a couple blocks away from our home, our apartment in New York, and he's doing well as a senior. He's about 6'2", 6'2.5", something like that. So like he's still growing, but Allah's Akbar, he's doing well and getting ready to figure out what we're going to do at the end of this year. I was in town earlier this week, and I was in town actually Friday, but you all didn't see me. Had to do something else. I'll share in just a second. But you know, it's always good to come back and see the growth of this community, and see the continued growth and excellence that Masjid Ash-Shaheed provides for the members and visitors here for the community. And I was in Pinehurst, North Carolina, for a couple of days earlier this week, and I went and I invited also to an African American Economic Summit, which was being put on by the Park Ministries. Bishop Claude Alexander, who I've known for a long time, sent it to me online, and then I saw him at the airport and invited me again. Someone else invited me on Friday. So what the summit was doing was trying to increase business interests from Africa to the U.S., from Africa to the U.S., and say, look, we're all from one family, and we come from the same womb, the same source, and those are our cousins over there, and they invited us to participate in the program, and it was ambassadors, it was other people from the African Union who was participating. But I have to share the story, which is interesting. So went to the session. You heard about the African commitment to wanting to do business with African Americans. They were looking for the church to move in. But one of the things that the ambassador for the African Union, I saw her Friday and I saw her yesterday again in the hotel. She talked about us wanting to do business together, us wanting to do more business together. And she said, even if we were able to join this union and use one product together, she said we would be in a much better shape. And he said, she said that she was at the airport and she had some pearls on, and there was a Caucasian guy. I was like, oh, where are you from? And she told him she was from Liberia. He said, oh yeah, we're building a plant over there. So people from other countries, or China is coming in and building plants, building interest there and building business interests. And she said, we have the natural resources in the ground that we can be using. And she said, hey, Brother Imam, imagine if we all were to start purchasing and creating and purchasing one product. We could all be doing shea butter. This is 2 days ago. She's telling me we should all be doing shea butter. And I'm sitting there shaking my head like, shea butter? She said, yeah, we have the best shea butter in the world coming right out of Africa, the real stuff, not the stuff that's incorporated. And I was like, yeah, because Procter & Gamble and everybody else has this shea butter. And she goes on and on and on about if we got every church and every community to start buying shea butter, women use shea butter, it's all natural, we can be doing a lot, we can increase our economic situation just like that. Imam W.D. Muhammad said this nearly 20 years ago. Nearly 20 years ago. Same conference, collective purchasing conference, he talked about shea butter. This lady in 2019 telling the Christian and other communities, people there, that we should be doing shea butter together across the country. So it's about following leadership, right? And Imam was he was forthright in his thinking, talking about shea butter, because now everybody, you can't go to the drugstore, you can't go to a hair supply place, you can't go anywhere without hearing about shea butter. So that's an opportunity that we missed on. All right, we started it, but we had some ups and downs on it, but we missed on it. But that was really interesting about that. And then the other part of this luncheon, and one of the reasons I went, is they had a schedule of different speakers coming. They had some national speakers, they had a panel, they had luncheon, all this kind of things. But on the agenda, it said Muslim prayer. And I said, wait a minute, this conference is on the African Summit, African American business, and they had a part in their schedule from 1 to 2 o'clock that said Muslim prayer service. I said, whoa. So I said, let me go check this out. So I was in a session, having lunch there, and they said, the guy who was one of the coordinators, he said, look, we got this room. Is this room okay? So he went and showed me. He said, this brother told us we should have an African prayer service. So it had a direction. They had it facing towards the east. They had an arrow with the east on there. So I went, checked it out, and I went and told him to get an extra tablecloth, whatever. So we actually had Juma in the Park Ministries. So, you know, the Park is one of the biggest churches, if not the biggest African-American church here in Charlotte. They have a campus in South Charlotte. They have one in North Charlotte. And then what used to be the Merchandise Mart, they own the whole thing, 550,000 square feet. They have all these rooms, all the rooms that they use for conventions and expos. They own all of that. So Park Ministries, they were the ones that are hosting the event, and they helped put the agenda together. But in the agenda, they had Muslim prayer service in there, because again, they knew they had Africans coming over there as well. And so I'm there, and Brother Maurice is there, and he's coming back here, and I'm like, man, should I stay? Should I go back? And I see one of our African brothers that comes here, we know and love him. He says, when I go back in, Maurice, as soon as I go back in, he says, Imam Rahman, the Sheikh from Winston-Salem can't come today. Can you do the Juma? Wow. and I was about to leave and come over here. He said, can you do the Juma? So I said, mashallah, alhamdulillah. So I ended up doing the Juma in the Park Ministries at an African Summit upstairs. As a student minister, Corey Muhammad, and a couple other people came out, and we had Juma right there. They had the prayer room ready for us, and I saw people in the hallway. They said, "Oh, did y'all finish the prayer service?" I wanted to come to that. Non-Muslims. Aaliyah's mom was there. She said, "Oh, I missed the prayer service." Yeah, so people wanted to come and be a part of prayer. So the point I'm saying, and it goes just along with the overall theme, is Islam is being taken out of these walls. Al-Islam is being looked at as a universal principle, a universal thought, and also a universal identity and way of life for humanity. And that is way I believe we should be looking at Islam. It is a way of life for humanity, and it's up to us to manifest what Al-Islam is calling for us to be able to take that out of the four walls and into the community. Because we can sit in the Masjid and learn. And I'll talk about this more at Juma. We can sit and learn and practice Al-Islam to the best of our ability. But Al-Islam comes as a message, as a theme to impact human salvation. And at one point, the Imam Muhammad Rahimahullah would say that he was a spokesperson for human salvation. He didn't say for Muslim salvation. He didn't say for the nation of Islam salvation. He said for human salvation. Because the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was coming to benefit all of humanity. He is the Prophet and the Nabi for all of humanity. And so our role as Muslims, our opportunity and really responsibility of Muslims is to be a catalyst that can impact human salvation. And so as we go about and we prepare ourselves and we educate ourselves and we fill ourselves up as Muslims and learn as much as we can as Muslims, our opportunity is to be an example, is to be in the role of the Khalifa here on earth, to be the representative here on earth to be able to impact human salvation. And we do that through our language, through our words, through what we teach people, and we do that through our actions of how we treat people. So how we teach people and how we treat people. And sometimes we teach people through how we treat people. So we can teach them through our words, our oral words, but we also can treat them through our actions. Honorable Elijah Muhammad once said, and his brother reminded me of this several years ago, he says, we have our young people in the educational system. And he said, well, if the person won't treat you right, how do you expect them to teach you right? Right? If the person don't treat you right, how do you expect them to teach you right? But we have the opportunity to treat people right and to teach people right. And the way we interact with people, the way we show respect for people, the way we understand Al-Islam to try to address the human condition and human needs and human interests. And that's how we take al-Islam out of these walls. Imam referenced our opportunity to invite to all that is good, and fishing, right? Fishing, that was inviting, was good. Fishing, right? And yeah, had a bait, and in real event, and actually that was Quran. You're inviting to all that is good, enjoying what is right, and forbidding what is wrong. And so we want to continue to invite people, because otherwise we are just a community of learners, and doesn't make us any better than the monks. And the monks, you know what the monks do, right? They learn a lot, right? Supposedly, they learn a lot. They retreat to the hills. They go to their monasteries, and they learn. But you don't see the monks in the community. They stay there, right? Muhammad the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he went to the caves, because he didn't just go to one, and he didn't just go at one time. He came back to teach the community. Isa ibn Maryam, even him, he didn't go and just learn and come back he came back to help the people. And so we don't want to be of those people who go on the high hills and then don't learn and bring it back to humanity. We also have an opportunity to, and I mentioned this at Salat al-Jum'ah. Fortunately, praise be to Allah, I get an opportunity to travel to a lot of different masajid. And I've gone to Jum'ah in many cities now, in St. Louis, in LA, of course Houston, Orlando, Florida, Cleveland, Ohio, and I go into these cities and I go sit on the floor and I just listen and I come back out and meet a few of the brothers there, and I'm reminded how special a community Charlotte is, and some of our communities are shrinking, while some of our communities are getting much. Charlotte is growing. We say, oh, all these people are moving down to Charlotte. Every community is not like that. In our association, we see a lot of communities that are shrinking, and I was in Cleveland, Ohio, huge masjid, Clyde Rahman, named after Clyde Rahman, in Cleveland, and lovely community, 2 floors, computers downstairs, big cafe. I mean, very nice, big building. Remember, it was built. It was one of the first ones built from the ground up. But the people, the expansion of the people, it looked like it's regressed. It's regressed. And I said, this wonderful space, if this was in the time of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this would be the community hub, because they're all in our neighborhoods. These communities are in our neighborhoods, and we come here, and every time I come here, I just look at the growth, and I look at the population growth, how many more people we have, how many more people's lives we're touching, and still hear about how we're feeding the homeless and inviting people to different programs here, and we're not afraid to invite the non-Muslims here, whether they're black or white or whomever comes. But a lot of our communities aren't doing as well, although we are seeing an influx of our Muslim brothers and sisters from around the world coming to this country. The challenges that we have, one is when we come to Jumu'ahs, it is not, we see people running back out. And I know our brothers on security and our people out in the lobby and things, they see people, I mean, people almost run over top of each other to get back out. They come in and they'll step over you. And the announcements, they barely hear them sometimes because they're rushing back out. And that's understandable if you got to get to work. Some people are not going back to work, though. They're just rushing to get out, right? They don't want to listen. They don't feel a part of the communities. But Allah established the Jumu'ah on Friday as a special day. To say the day Abraham was born, to say the day of judgment will occur on Friday, on Salat al-Jumu'ah day. The night starts the day. Of course, Thursday night really starts the day of Jumu'ah, and the congregational prayers is Friday. But the Ummah comes together on Friday, and it's not just to pray. It's not just to pray, because Allah didn't have to say we want to listen to a khutbah on Friday. So the Jumu'ah is not just the Jumu'ah is to force us to have relations with each other. It is forcing the Ummah to come together, to force the congregation to come together and to lalita arafu, right? To know one another. Just like on Hajj. Allah didn't have to put us, say we could have done Hajjs in our own cities, right? We could have said Allah could have made one, but Allah brings the community together because He wants us to lead to Arafu, right? Like on Arafat. He wants us to come together to love each other, have respect for each other, have regard for each other. And so even as we come to Salatul Jummah, it is to know each other better. And so if people are running in and running back out, how do you get a chance to know your brother or your sister? How do you get a chance to address each other's needs? How do you get a chance to love one another and care for each other and know who's even sick? Because people are running in and running out sometimes. And so, and again, I understand people have work, people have to get back to different places, but we should be looking at opportunities to know each other better. Despite our backgrounds, our physical color conditions, our economic conditions, Allah brings us all together to be one family, to be one community, to be one ummah. So that is an opportunity for us as we continue to grow and to develop. Finally, we have a wonderful opportunity, Brother Imam, to recognize and continue to promote what Islam has done in this country for 90 years. And I think we aren't. I think the opportunity, the upside is still there. What Al-Islam has done for the African American community, first of all, in this country, is nothing short of a miracle. It is nothing short of a miracle the way that Al-Islam has come to change lives around. Change people's physical lives from what they're consuming, what they're putting in their body. I mean, people were giving up pork, cigarettes, and alcohol, and all the other stuff that came with it like that by joining what was then the Nation of Islam. And still to this day, whether it's through the Nation of Islam or other indigenous communities, people are giving these things up because of what Al-Islam has come and inshallah entered into their hearts. So the government, the police departments, they should be thanking the Muslims because we are making the community safer. How are we making people? We keeping people away from alcohol. We're keeping people away from drugs. We're keeping people away from crime. We're creating safe spaces. We're creating safe communities, safe neighborhoods, inshallah. We're bringing people into, not we, but Allah through His mercy and through His blessings is helping the communities be more productive. And so when the police think about the Muslims, they say, oh, well, this Muslim was doing, they have to think twice. Like, no, the Muslims are not doing this. Like, oh yeah, no, we got to worry about DUI, right? They got to worry about drunk driving. Well, we don't have to worry about the Muslims, right? We got to worry about people being intoxicated with weed and all this other. No, we don't have to worry about the Muslims. So we are already making their jobs easier, right? The Muslims are, and this is for our friends on both sides of the aisle. Some people say, well, I don't want dollars to go to these social services. Let us make money and help our social services up. These are the more conservative people in government. They say less government, don't put resources towards social services, healthcare, and prisons and all this. Let us take our money and let's give it to business who can get jobs. And once people get job creation, then we can help the community that way. But what they should be thankful of is that the Muslims are putting less of a burden on society because we have a responsibility to do what? To take care of ourselves, right? Our sadaqah, our zakat, is for what? And this is Talim, we can talk. I'm running my mouth, but we can talk. Zakat is for what? Charity. Yes, for charity, right? And who is it to help? Help the poor and the needy, right? These are services that normally the government will have to take care of, right? Because somebody got to pay for it. So zakat is to help zakat means purification of our own wealth, but it's also a strategy. It is a solution. It is Al-Islam Islam itself is a solution, but zakat as part of that is a solution. So Muslims have a responsibility to help those in need. right? We have neighborly needs. You know the example of the prophet said that Allah pressed him so much to help his neighbor that he thought the neighbor would be the inheritor. He thought the neighbor would be the ones getting all the inheritance because he pressed him to help the neighbors. So with al-Islam, we don't, we shouldn't be as much, the government doesn't have as much responsibility for the Muslim because the Muslim is taking care of itself. And in the time of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what kind of police did they have, Brother Maurice? The Muslims themselves were the police. The companions were the police, right? They didn't need to have a police force. Why is that? Because the Muslims were able to take care of themselves. They had the guidance of the Quran and the life example of Prophet Muhammad, prayers and peace be upon him. So it was a less of a burden on society. Now, I know there's some things that in this society we don't want, not say we can't handle, but we don't want to handle. Some things we need to call 911 on because it's like, look, this is out of our realm. We need the police to handle this by law and by other types of things, even to protect the masjid and the community. We have to call 911. There are certain times where we have resources that we can help from a zakat standpoint, but that's still limited, right? The masjid is not a banking institution. It's not a financial institution. It is a religious institution that establishes and enhances the whole community life of the individual. Right, so we can't. It's not like we don't need social services. It's not like we don't need other sources. Right, we still need that. Right, we still need mental health services. Right, buddy man. We need mental health services. Right, we can counsel some. We can give you some Quranic verses. We can give you some ayats. We can give you what the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But sometimes there needs to be a little bit more. So we got to call DSS or mental health services and get extra help, right? We have doctors and nurses here in the community, right? But there's certain needs that go beyond just what our doctors and nurses have. We have a lot of good nurses, right, Sister Darlene? Good nurses here, right, in the community. Lots of them. Dr. Jerry out there, who's a self-proclaimed doctor, right? Jerry Akbar, he calls himself a doctor, right? He said, take some of this cayenne pepper and some oils and we'll be all right. And get some fish, we'll be good, right? So we have our own doctors, right? But there's certain things we got to take outside of our own expertise. And so we still depend and we still pay taxes, right, to the government to help us support some of these things. So in this society, we can't be all-encompassing, but there are things we can do to help, right? Al-Islam teaches us how to eat right, how to eat to live, right? Some of those concepts we still have. Some of them we lost a little bit. I am going to eat some chicken today, and I'm going to try to eat to live with that chicken today, inshallah. But so there's certain things that we need to do. But Al-Islam is a solution-based religion. It is a solution-based way of life. And so if we learn as much as we can, then we can not only provide solutions for ourselves in everything from inheritance to how we treat our relatives, to how we treat our neighbors, to how we are to give back, to how we even to refrain from eating during the month of Ramadan. My wife has been investigating some of the eating patterns, and she's been looking at different people's eating patterns. And now some of the people who are the weight loss people, they're now giving credit to religious communities. They said the Muslims got it right with Ramadan. We're like, whoa, wait a minute now. I thought my coworker said that you're going to starve yourself for 12 hours, 14, 16 hours. So now they say, wait a minute now. There's some validity to that. You already know it cleans up the white blood cells and it helps to process food better, right? It does all these different types of things. So they're saying, look at the Muslim way of life as an example of how to cleanse yourself. Now, they're not saying, it's quiet now. They're not going to go on the news saying this. But this is when we have to trust in Almighty Allah, right? We might say, man, Allah got us fasting. I mean, I still got to work. And I still got to have Ramadan breath, and I still got to work. But we got to trust in Almighty Allah, right? Allah said we fast 5 times. I mean, we pray 5 times a day. And Allah says He could have given us many more times to pray. It It is a mercy that he's given us just his 5 times a day. Right? But do we know from a physiological standpoint that praying, there's physiological benefits in the prayer? And I don't mean just mental and spiritual benefits. I mean physically benefits of the movements that prayer has given us. 1,400 years ago this was given to us. And scientists and doctors are now saying certain positions will give you benefit. Putting your head on the floor, putting this aqua, putting this intellectual and physical part of your body on the floor is helping to relieve stress, right? Putting that on the floor is helping to relieve stress. The yoga positions they starting looking at now. Some of the yoga positions looking like prayer positions, right? And say, well, wait a minute, how are they doing this now? This new chakra system that yoga is doing is teaching you. It's the same, some of the same positions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us in Salat. Right? And some of them are, again, spiritual benefits, the physical benefits, and even the sociological benefits. Right? When we're sitting down in Jalsa and we're sitting, what are we doing? We're sitting on the what? We're sitting on the throne. We're sitting on the throne. Right? And that is representative of us being the king or the master of our own destiny. Of our own destiny. So we pray to Almighty Allah, we the king, we the master of our own. We're making our own decisions for us to grow and to learn and to develop. So Allah is putting all these different positions and these different signs. In the Qiyam, we're standing straight up. We're standing erect. Right? And we're standing erect to symbolize righteousness. Upright. The Hanifa. We're the upright ones, right? Allah doesn't say slouch over. When you're in Qiyam, we straight up, right? We up and down because we representing righteousness. We're representing uprightness. And so again, what I'm giving is these are signs that Allah has given to us that we don't understand sometimes. And we're still, we're all still learning the signs. And Allah says that they're instruction signs from the earth and in the heavens. Because when Allah builds up the trees outside, most of the trees aren't going sideways if they're given freedom. If they're given the freedom to move, the trees are going what? Erect, straight up, right? And why are they going straight up? Because again, they're upright and they're submitting to the will of Almighty Allah. And then sometimes, if the wind blows too hard, the trees will look down, look like they're submitting, right? They saying, Allahu Akbar, going on with it. They come back up to be erect again because they want to be upright, but they leaning down, Allahu Akbar, right? Looking like they're making sajda, right? And Allah says all the creatures submit to Almighty Allah. But to the human being is the only one that he gives the intellect to be able to make a decision on to do it or not to do it. The trees don't have a choice. The trees just submit. The birds just submit. The angels just submit. All the creation of Almighty Allah just submit. The human being, the Khalifa, are given the intelligence and the will to submit or not to submit. But Allah says we're going to come willingly or unwillingly, right? It might be in our graves, but we're going to submit. Our bodies are going to submit one way or another. So we have to trust in Almighty Allah is the message, inshallah, we're trying to bring that we have this great solution as a religion, and we, inshallah, are learning more how to submit and be following His will. Following His will. It is a journey, a constant journey for us, and we, inshallah, are learning to love each other more, respect each other more, and love Allah's creation more. Love His creation more, and His creation in the human being and in the whole environment, to love His creation more. And it's sometimes hard. It's hard to love His creation sometimes when we are stubborn or angry. You have people who just seem like they're always angry. And the Prophet said, don't be angry. He said again, don't be angry. He said again, don't be angry. Right? But we have Muslims that walk around just angry. They mad at their brothers, they mad at their sisters, they mad at their non-Muslim relatives, they mad at the government, they mad at everybody. They just mad. Oh, stuff for the law, brother. They just angry. Right? It just and they want to talk about this group not treating them well, or this group not treating them well. White man is on my back. The Jews doing this. They just angry, right? The Prophet said, "Don't be angry. Work fi sabilillah, right? You can't control what everyone else is doing. Control your own situation. Be the master of your own destiny, right? Ask Allah for His forgiveness and His mercy. Allah gives us this dua in the Quran. It says, Rabbana zalamna anfusina wa imna tarfihna wa kununa namuna kasirin. It says, surely Allah has given us His forgiveness and His mercy. And if He hadn't given us His forgiveness and mercy, we would surely be amongst the losers. Right? So we have to come to Him asking for His forgiveness and His mercy and His blessings, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Do you have any questions for Imam Rahman?
That was, hopefully, that was short, sweet.
No, it was good. That was excellent. So we thank Allah for you.
Yes, sir.
And for you to take time and push the time of your flight back so you can be here with us. But, you all are family. And we thank Allah for you, and also we are happy to hear about the good works that you are still doing. I sometimes look at Facebook, and you seem like you're all over this country. I said, there go Rahman Khan again. Always working with people who have some influence too, and that's very important. So we do have a few announcements. I think we need to get together and offer our salat. Number one, we didn't offer salat yet, but we have food, that we want you all to partake of and to enjoy. That's another thing that builds social relations, while you're sitting and you're eating, and talking. That's very important. Never have a meeting that is going to last 4 or 5 hours and not have at least some snacks. I used to go to work too. We'd go to seminars. I never went to a seminar that they didn't have. If it's going to be 4 hours long, they're going to have something there for the people. That keeps people sort of interested in what you're saying, because when you're hungry, you can't listen to anybody. So we thank Allah again for this day, and Rahman will be back with us on the 11th. You coming with him? You coming? Mashallah. He'll be back down on the 11th, and he's already been ordered to work. I may be myself. I don't know if I'm going to be here that day. I think I'll be in Greensboro. They have the sectional imams meeting and national. And we should want to have that connection. I don't think any of the little places should have little tribes. That's not the way we should be. And it's really in some places that way now. I do my own thing when I want. I don't have nobody over me. You don't have to have anybody over you. You don't have to have a centralized, strong type leader. You don't have to have that anymore. But we still should have a connection with one another, because this community, we know where we came from. And inshallah, in February, we're going to have this program here to commemorate that 90 years that this community has been in America, going all the way back in February. Charleston is already called and want to work with us on that. Mars Summit coming up. Mars Summit will be coming up on the 25th through the 27th. If you have not registered, please do so. If you have not taken out a patron ad, please do so. We really have to get busy on that. We have to get busy, to get people interested. So we need to put an ad in Muslim Journal. All those who are working with the Mars Summit, we always use the media to help us. You were here. So we need to realize that and recognize that some of the people, no matter how much you talk to them here, they're not coming anyway. So inshallah, we're going to try our best with the help of Allah. And we've learned that you can never predict what the results are going to be. You make the effort in the way of God, and Allah, that's His business. He will take care of the rest. Seen that with fundraisers. We've seen that with a whole lot of things we put forth. And Allah bless us to be successful. Any announcements? Anybody got announcements?
So just one quick thing. On October, the reason I'm coming back is I do some different types of events I coordinate across the country. On October the 11th and 12th, I'm having some events here in Charlotte. One is a dinner with the police department on the night of the 11th and local residents off of Ashley Road and Ashley and Freedom Drive. Having a free dinner to kind of help build community relations there. Then October 12th, we have what we call a Community Impact Day. Well, my company is volunteering to fix up some homes on Ashley Road. We're having a big nonprofit resource fair on Freedom Drive. We have a teen mentoring session. A brother from the Mail's Place. We have a sister, and then somebody from the police department is on the panel. And then we have a resource fair with free stuff, lots of free stuff. Nonprofits are giving out information. We're giving out these safe and healthy home kits that has stuff like weather radios in it, that has first aid kits, that has a whole bunch of good stuff in it. We're giving away like 250 of those. We have recruiters from our company coming out. We have food trucks out there giving out stuff. Muggsy Bogues is coming. I have the national recording artist Kindred, the Family Soul, the Muslim brother and sister out of Philadelphia. They'll be performing live out there, and just a good day. We're partnering with the local radio station, so I'll probably be on the radio on that Friday afternoon. But again, it's a day. It's called a Community Impact Day. It's something I created to help engage the community, have the residents come out and be a part of it. Everything is free out there on Saturday, October the 12th. So, inshallah, all the Muslims are invited, the community is invited. It'll be at the Movement School on Freedom Drive. I'll make sure you all get flyers around it, but it's an opportunity to further engage with local communities, inshallah.
You had an announcement? I just wanted to mention, can't hear you. Some of us don't hear as well. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to mention that on the 19th of October, Hidden Valley is having a parade. And the last few parades they had was pretty large. I don't know how it's going to be this year, but they're looking for our participation. And they have a meeting on this Tuesday coming. And I would like to invite you all out to come to their meeting. There's a few of us, two brothers that usually go. There's usually no sisters there, but they're looking for our help. It's in Hidden Valley at Martin Luther King. It's at 6:30, Tuesday. Yes. The parade is on the 19th, and again, they're looking for our participation. We have. I talked to Haroon. He's going to have the van there, and they're looking for us to speak. Looking for us to have a table set up. We can do dawah. So there's a lot that we can do if we participate in this parade. And that's October 19th.
Thank you. Well, alhamdulillah. They have a good group there, and I've been to a few meetings, but I think Brother Lawrence and the Mecca, they go all the time. And I think that's very good for us to have our presence in the community. We want to thank you all for that work. All right, so we're going to break down and offer salat, and then we're going to have a meal. I know Brother Imam Rahman and Sister Anika, they have to catch a flight. And normally, you have to catch a flight, you want to be there about an hour ahead of time.